The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Armed Media, New Productions, and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
Teflon Pan Man. I'm the Teflon Pan Man. Ain't nothing gonna stick on me.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to All You Can Eat. It's the podcast about deliciousness, and I'm your host, Rob Rosenthal, coming to you live from Miami Beach, Florida, where it's a very pleasant 80 degrees and sunny. And it's December the 9th of the year 2021. Today's show, episode number 119, is the show that I do periodically about recommendations on things generally that are, of course, delicious, and most of them to eat, if not all of them. No, actually, there could be a couple of books in there as well. But it's the periodic recommendation show coming to you from someone who has access to a lot of delicious things, many of which I discover on my own, by popping into the supermarket or the gourmet store or Costco, where I go quite often. As I've said before, I am the Costco ho, so I go there a lot. But I haven't been to Costco as much recently as I have gone to Trader Joe's, and I've got to say, anybody who goes there knows they have a pretty kind of devoted fan base. There's a lot of really nice product in Trader Joe's. So I have some recommendations from there. And I would say that kind of thing. Plus, as a working journalist and a podcaster, I'm invited quite often to try, to sample, to taste products, mostly, that come from producers who, are proud and want me to, see what their stuff is like. And if I think it looks interesting or if I think it's worth trying, they send it. And so one really kind of classic example of that is this Bachan's, B-A-C-H-A-N apostrophe S, Bachan's. Pretty sure you can go right to bachans.com. Because these folks make out in California, in what must be not a giant operation, because I actually believe their claim that they, do things kind of on a small scale. Batch made, or whatever you want to call it, using really kind of great, mostly I think California type ingredients. Bachan's makes a Japanese barbecue sauce, and I can't recommend it highly enough. And this is not the first time that I've recommended Bachan's. Most recently, they sent me their Yuzu flavored barbecue sauce. Yuzu is a Japanese citrus fruit, so the reason that you use a little citrus in any kind of cooking or drinks, whatever, is because it brings a brightness. Sometimes, like for example, here's a classic example of how you would use a little bit of acidity, whether it comes from a lemon, for example, or maybe it could even come from vinegar. I made today chicken salad. I made chicken salad because I had leftover white meat chicken, because I eat the dark meat and the white meat is left over. And that's fine, because nothing makes a better chicken salad than white meat with, as simple as kind of like, mayo. But I can amp up the flavor of that thing 1,000-fold by using other ingredients as well. So in addition to the mayo, I may put in a little bit of that green relish that you would normally reserve for a hot dog or a hamburger. A lovely little touch of sweetness. And because I also like curried chicken salad, I use curry powder that I have, which really makes the thing so yummy. And I always save leftover pickle juice from pickles that are in a glass bottle. I will eat the pickles and save that leftover juice because I like a little shot of that pickle juice, speaking about brightness or acidity, to go in the chicken salad or tuna salad or whatever you would use it for. It adds a little bit of moisture, a little bit of taste, and that little bit of acidity which brightens it up. So the reason I mention it is because in making today's curry chicken salad, into which I added a little bits of apple, because I happen to have had an apple in the house. And I have a bag, speaking of Trader Joe's, of toasted slivered almonds. So those went in. So now I have a curry chicken salad with a little bit of apple and toasted almond pieces. And I taste it, and it's very delicious. But I feel that it's a little bit, how would I describe it? I feel like I would love to lighten it up a little bit more. And if I had a piece of lemon that I wanted to squeeze in, that would be one way to do it. But, vinegar works. So I grab a little apple cider vinegar. It could have been red wine vinegar or anything like that. Just a teaspoon or so. And now that chicken salad is just perfect. Where was I? I don't even remember where I started this thing. I think it was because I was starting with... where was I? Was I Bachan's, right. Oh, right. So Bachan's. So going back to Bachan's, right, I know why I went in that whole direction in the middle of nowhere. It's because I was talking about yuzu, the citrus, the Japanese citrus fruit. So Bachan's makes a regular barbecue sauce, fantastic flavored, umami, which is to say savory. And what makes a sauce savory is that it has soy, and it has garlic, and it has ginger. It's just really delicious. What I like so much about Bachan's, and you can go online and not only buy it online if you want, but I suppose they have one of those store locators, so you can find Bachan's, store near you by, inputting your zip code, whatever. But what I like so much about Bachan's is not only that it's, really yummy sauce, but that it's so multi-purpose. I mean, specifically, I use Bachan's before cooking. Right, so if I want to marinate, for example, a piece of chicken or shrimp or fish or meat, you could hit it up with Bachan's and then throw it into the fire on top of the stove, in the stove, on top of a grill. Fantastic. I use Bachan's also as an ingredient when I'm doing a stir fry. So if I have some vegetables left over or some rice and I want to do a little stir fry, this is not complicated. It's one pan cooking. You put in some flavor base. In the case of Asian cooking, I always like to have some garlic and ginger in there, maybe some scallion, fantastic. Then I throw in a handful of string beans. And now I need a little liquid. Now, if all you have in the house is soy sauce, that's perfectly good. But Bachan's is perfectly better. It just is. I mean, so in other words, it's also an ingredient that I can use in a stir fry. And as if those two uses were not enough, I have to say, I like Bachan's as a dipping sauce. So, whether it's your Trader Joe's or your Costco, and you come back with frozen egg rolls, frozen dumplings, tempura shrimp, and you need something to dip it in, I don't use the horrible sauces that generally those things come with, frozen, congealed, gooky, yicky sauces. I just squirt them with the Bachan's barbecue sauce. Excellent product, Bachan's.com. So that's recommendation number one. And I know that I've recommended it before, but I continue to be a fan of the thing. Recommendation number two is I'm going to shift over to Trader Joe's because I found two things there that are, in my estimation, best in class. And I think what I like most about Trader Joe's is the stuff that comes in bags and cans and nuts and raisin, dried food and stuff like that. For example, I'm now going to hold in my hand jalapeno seasoned corn and rice puffs. Big green bag. Says organic on the top, says vegan and gluten-free on the bottom. And all of that stuff, to be honest with you, I know is important to some people. Great. Not to me. What's important to me is crunchy and spicy snacks made with corn, rice, quinoa, and baked to perfection. So these are baked chips, crunchy and spicy, flavored with jalapeno. Wow, what an excellent product. Green bag is what you're looking for. Jalapeno seasoned corn and rice puffs. I mean, just, they crunch in your mouth, then they disintegrate, then you get the heat from the jalapeno. Wowie kazowie, excellent. Now, I also picked up, so that's recommendation number 2, those things. I also got from them the potato chips. Hang on a second, I now need to remember what kind of potato chips they are. And I come across the potato chip section, and they have many different kinds, of course, as most stores do. And nobody doesn't like potato chips. But I came across their Dill Pickle potato chips. I don't have them in front of me, so I can't tell you what the bag looks like. But what I can tell you is after eating potato chips now for 50 years, I don't think that there's a potato chip that I like more than the Trader Joe's Dill Pickle potato chips. Crunchy, dill pickle flavor, got that little hit in the back that you get when you have a pickle, that little bit of sourness. Man, they're excellent. Just really, recommendation number 3, Trader Joe's Dill Pickle potato chips. Just a really, really excellent product. And now I'm going to give you another one that's not dill and it's not the corn snacks, but it does have jalapeno. I just don't. Oh, Trader Joe's. Look at this. This is good. We're on a roll right now. So there's a can that I'm holding. It's a 5.5 ounce can with a red plastic lid over it. And all it says on the front is crispy jalapeno pieces. And underneath that is a lovely picture of crispy jalapeno pieces. Now, I'm not saying that you're going to pop those into your mouth like a snack in the same way that you would with either the dill potato chips or the crunchy corn and rice jalapeno chips, but these crispy jalapeno chips are fantastic. I happen to have used them as the finishing touch on my chicken wrap today. My curry chicken wrap with a little bit of slaw, topped with crispy jalapeno pieces, and then wrapped into a nice kind of tortilla. I will just say I'm not positive that I've had better chicken salad or a better kind of tasting wrap. And again, part of what made it fantastic, obviously, is the chicken salad. That little bit of kind of crunch and acidity that breaks through the sharpness that you get from the coleslaw that I had. Not a creamy coleslaw, a vinegar-based, like Russian kind of coleslaw. And then the crunch and the spice that comes from the crispy jalapeno pieces. Man, I'll tell you something. I could eat that, every day until I get sick of it. And that's going to be a while because these crispy jalapeno pieces are just great. Just great. Just really. So there's 3 products for you from Trader Joe's. And I'm even going to give you a 4th as I segue into an area that's about spices. And I just can't emphasize enough how important it is to use spices and sometimes fresh herbs when you are cooking. Spices in particular, especially spice blends, are the easiest way to transform a meal from okay to good to wow, that's excellent, that's extraordinary. I have written a cookbook, which we're going to come to later in the program. But what's important to understand about the cookbook, Short Order Dad, is that it was predicated on my style of cooking, which I can define in 6 words: most taste, fewest ingredients, least effort, right? So, that's how I cook. I want something delicious. I don't want to spend a lot of time, and I don't want to see a lot of ingredients. I sometimes look at recipes. If it has more than 4 or 5 ingredients, my eyes glaze over. I have no interest. And so it's important to understand that when it comes to spices, they can really, a little bit can make a huge difference. So if you're the kind of person that oftentimes, grills up a chicken breast, you can get pretty bored with a chicken breast. But I can give you 100 different spices that'll turn that into something else. And it's the same thing with pretty much almost anything that you make, whether it's a protein, whether it's a chicken or fish or a meat, or whether it's a vegetable, or whether it's a potato. I mean, the easiest way to take it from being kind of ordinary to extraordinary, the easiest, the fastest, the most flavorful, is to hit it up with a bunch of spice. Now, I happen to have a favorite spice, and that'll change. But it's called Berbere. I've mentioned it before on the program, Berbere. It's a spice blend that comes from Ethiopia. introduced to me by the great Ethiopian, Swedish, American chef Marcus Samuelsson. Berbere has a blend of 10 or 12 different spices in it, red pepper, cardamom, cinnamon, and coriander, and it is astonishingly fragrant and delicious. And I just hit up some chicken wings or chicken thighs with it, and some little salt if your Berbere blend doesn't have salt, and I throw those pieces into the oven. It's really all you need to have extraordinary chicken wings or chicken thighs or chicken in general. Berbere's just got a ton of flavor, so I love that. But since we were on Trader Joe's, they have a whole bunch of spices that they sell over there. 121 Spice Salute or something along those lines, perfectly good. But I'm here to tell you about their chili lime seasoning blend. I use it, and I use chili lime again because I can take kind of regular old food and automatically give it a hit of Southwest Mexican type flavor with chili and lime seasoning blend. Again, whether it's going to be shrimp, whether it's going to be you put it in a salad dressing, whether you top a potato with it, whether you saute some shrimp with it, whatever it is, the chili lime seasoning by Trader Joe's, very good. Now, speaking of spices, I did mention before that I am often invited to taste a product. And the good people from a company called A Spice Affair sent me a bunch of their product. When I say a bunch, I mean enough so that I've only tasted one so far. And their product comes in these glass jars. And it's clearly labeled, so you know what you're getting. In fact, let me look up their thing, because I actually like to be able to say, yeah, this is what they sent. They specialize in blends from around the world. So from Japan, they send over a sashimi togarashi, otherwise known as 7 spice. It is the kind of standard spice mixture in all of Japan, so that way when you go out for lunch and you're having a large bowl of soup or udon or noodles or ramen or whatever, there's always going to be that little bottle at the table of sashimi togarashi 7 spices. And the 7 spices are interesting because they generally have a little bit of citrus in it, like orange peel. They oftentimes have some toasted sesame seeds in it, sometimes some nori, the Japanese seaweed. Lovely spice. Korean barbecue spice. They sent Thailand Thai 7 spice. Morocco harissa. From Jordan, the za'atar, which surely you have heard of because it's everywhere now. That spice blend. Turkey kebab from Turkey. Greece, Greek herbs. Italy, Tuscan style. From France, they send posayat. From Portugal, piri piri spices, which is spicy. Canada, everything bagel seasoning. Montreal, maple and pepper seasoning. From the United States, smoky Tennessee barbecue. From Mexico, guacamole dip mix. From Jamaica, Jamaican jerk seasoning. From Brazil, Brazilian barbecue seasoning. So I would encourage you. I've had I've actually tried 2. Now here's the thing about it. They are selling these spice mixes as kind of like the easiest way for you to create dips and blends. So I watched the demonstration yesterday. Very interesting. All they did was they would take like a teaspoon or so of any one of these blends, and they would add in anything from mayonnaise to sour cream to Greek yogurt, whatever, and all of a sudden you have an automatic, super tasty, dip in front of you, right? Which you can use either to dip vegetables, or maybe you want to use it to marinate, chicken or whatever. I am here to tell you about the poulet au beurre, what they're calling the spice from India for butter chicken. Now, if you've had Indian food before and you've been fortunate enough to have butter chicken, it's beautiful, isn't it? Like so fragrant, so lush and luscious and delicious. So I was tempted. I'm going to open it right now. Yeah, the smell is just gorgeous. Let me see if I can tell you, in fact, what's in this blend of poulet au beurre. Let's see if I can tell you exactly by looking at that label. Okay, so they have in here ingredients are going to be tomato, paprika, coriander, sea salt, important. What else do they have in there? Garlic, cumin, cardamom, ginger, black pepper, nutmeg, cloves, fenugreek, onion, dill, bay leaves. I mean, these are some serious spices. And blended together, what is it, like a dozen different flavors? You know, it's all you need. Now, I roast a chicken almost every week. And I don't mess around. I just take the whole chicken. Normally, I give it salt, pepper, lemon, garlic, throw it in the air fryer. An hour later, it's perfect. Juicy, flavorful, crispy, just unbelievably great. So if you want to, later I'll tell you about like an air fryer if you want to go there. But I took this, you want to change the recipe on your chicken periodically, as good as it is. So I just sprinkled my chicken with poulet au beurre, butter chicken blend here from Spice Affair. And I used a little bit of olive oil. I just felt like I wanted to make it kind of a little shiny on the skin. It would adhere, the spice blend would adhere a little bit better to it, make it a little bit of a kind of a, what do you call it? Like a little bit of a paste almost, right? And went in the air fryer. And I mean, it's not only that it comes out gorgeous. That's lovely. That's an added advantage. But I mean, fragrant, delicious, just killer chicken. So, I didn't end up making a blend. I didn't end up making a mix. I didn't end up making a sauce. I didn't end up making a paste. I literally just took this blend of 12 or however many herbs, spices it is, hit it up all over that chicken, and roasted that thing for an hour in the air fryer. And it is flawless, fantastic, flavorful, just awesome. So you could go to, let me just see if I can make sure I give you their, let me see if I give you their website. Yeah, a Spice Affair, spiceaffair.com. That's all you need to know. You can go see 18 different flavors, or however many they have. See the ones that are most interesting to you. I tried this one here, so highly recommended, the poulet au beurre. I tried the guacamole seasoning. It's a guacamole dip mix, and I feel like maybe that one would be good as a dip. I just kind of tossed some into my mashed up avocado, but and it was fine. I mean, but for sure, poulet au beurre, love that, and I'm looking forward to trying the others, and we'll report back when I have more to report on those. Now I'm going to shift gears here because even though I am coming to you from a warm weather state, as they like to call it, the great state of Florida, in so much of the country now, here we are approaching the depth of winter. I think winter actually starts like December the 21st. I think we're like 12 days from the official start of winter, if I'm not mistaken. And when it's cool out there, cold, who am I talking cool? When it's freezing where you are, one of the great things is to have a nice, warm, hearty breakfast. And, I mean, I don't eat a lot of pancakes. I'm not sure that I ever eat pancakes or French toast, or maybe I get a taste of one of those once a year. I like eggs, so I have eggs with some regularity. I recently discovered a way, after all these years, I'm more of an over easy or a fried, like sunny side up type guy with toast. I mean, that to me is like beautiful. But I happen to have discovered something online that kind of blew me away, which was somebody putting, a chef, a cook, a cookbook author, making an omelet with potato chips in it. And it hadn't really occurred to him. It never really occurred to me, but it makes total sense because eggs and potatoes just go together. They just do. But I went a step above, as we like to call it here, gilding the lily, because I already had in my refrigerator some grated Pecorino Romano cheese, the sheep's milk sheep's milk cheese that comes from Rome, Pecorino Romano, salty and delicious, and in my case already crumbled up. And I happen to, and of course I always have black pepper, plenty of freshly grated. I mean, it's important that you're grating your own black pepper. Don't listen. Come on, it's not that hard. Don't use pepper out of a little can. Grated pepper makes all the difference in the world. But the point I make here is about the eggs. I'm making this omelet with potato chips, but I dumped in a whole handful or two or 3 of your Pecorino Romano cheese, and then I hit it up with an awful lot of black pepper, because these are the 2 ingredients that you would use to make what they call cacio e pepe, everybody's favorite, pasta sauce. Well, especially in Rome, right, with the salty, cheesy ricotta, with the black pepper, and with pasta. Here we're making it with eggs. I'm using pecorino and pepper, and now potato chips in an omelet. It's one of the greatest omelets I've ever had in my life. I just love the hell out of it. Now, so I like eggs for breakfast. However, in cold weather, or any weather for that matter, oatmeal. The thing about oatmeal that's I think matters is most of the oatmeal that you see, like in the supermarket, I would say, the Quaker or whatever, it's instant. It's highly kind of processed so that it cooks very quickly with water. And so what you end up with, if you ask me, is like watery kind of gruel, just like meaninglessness. It doesn't have any texture. It doesn't really have any taste to speak of, and it's limp from a textural standpoint. So I have less than zero interest in that kind of oatmeal. The only way that oatmeal is palatable is when you dump in, brown sugar and butter and all the other stuff that's, fine. I mean, so I think there's a better way. And the better way is to go for oatmeal that actually takes a little while to cook, because it's not already been kind of processed down to nothing, to sawdust. It's called steel-cut oatmeal. And the best and most famous of the steel-cut oatmeal brands is by a company called McCann, McCann. You'll see it in cans in most supermarkets. McCann's Irish steel-cut oatmeal, they've been making this stuff since 1876. And I always have an attitude that if somebody's doing something for like 150 years, like by now they've got this thing right. Now, part of the reason I suspect that people don't always go for the better, longer cooking oatmeal is because they think it's going to take a whole lot more effort. The answer is the effort is exactly the same. You're dumping some oatmeal into a pot, and then you're putting in water, and you put on the heat, and you wait for it to cook, right? So instead of it being 1 minute or 3 minutes, this one you're going to leave to cook for 20 or 30 minutes while you go do something else. Shower, shave, feed a kid, do some work. But you're simmering the steel-cut oats for 20, 25 minutes, and the texture is beautiful, and it's 1,000 times more healthy, if that matters to anybody, because this stuff is real fiber, and it's real taste, and it's real texture. Now, traditionally, and I mean, I'm a purist, I'm not necessarily a traditionalist. Traditionally, you would take a bowl of oatmeal, and you would put in nice sweet things, brown sugar, cinnamon. You could use maple syrup. You could use regular sugar. You could use honey. And that's good. Those are all good things. And you know what else is good in that? I like dried fruit, like raisins or golden raisins or craisins, or maybe like fresh fruit. I mean, what's wrong with a handful of blueberries if you have those, strawberries, blackberries, whatever it is that you like. I also am not averse to putting in a teaspoon or 2 or a tablespoon of peanut butter into the oatmeal, or almond butter. That's very delicious. But somewhere along the way, I don't know where, I don't know when, I don't know why, I came across the concept of savory oatmeal. Now, I mentioned that I wrote a book. One of the recipes in my book is actually called Oatmeal Broulet, right? Which speaks to the sweetness, because I would cook this oatmeal right here, this McCann's, and then I would put it into ramekins when it was pretty much done. And then I would put a teaspoon or 2 of sugar on top of the oatmeal in the ramekin, and then either put it under the broiler or take like a blowtorch and make a brulee, like a brown crunchy topping on the thing. And I tell you, man, like that's candy, and it's delicious. But I came across the concept of savory oatmeal, and what I mean by savory is very simple. It's going to be, I'm going to use now not the sweet things, but I'm going to use the other side of the equation. I'm going to use some salt, and I'm going to use some pepper, and I'm going to use some herbs, and I'm going to use some spices, and I'm going to get some flavor in this thing. And The beauty of it is, of course, that because it's oatmeal, it'll take whatever you give it. It's a perfectly good platform or palette to incorporate whatever flavors you most like. If you are in love with herbes de Provence, you put those in there. If you love Japanese flavor, you go back to that sashimi, the sashimi togarashi, that's Japanese 7-spice. If you are a fan of, as I am, of spicy chili crisp from China, which I'll tell you about in a minute, I mean, that you can put in there. I will oftentimes go to the refrigerator and see if I have any cheese lying around, and I will put that in the oatmeal. So, or this chili lime that I mentioned from before, or whatever your favorite seasoning is. And a little bit of olive oil, or butter, whatever you like. I make my oatmeal savory. And while it is fantastic on its own, I can eat a bowl of that. And lately I have been using that spicy chili crisp, which I'm going to tell you about in a minute, man. It's unbelievable. So my oatmeal basically turns out to be, spicy and red and Chinese style. And that's where I felt kind of that you can really understand how oatmeal can be made savory, because oats are a grain, as is like, cornmeal or, polenta, as is, rice, and all of those can be made savory, right? I mean, rice is turned into risotto, and polenta is turned into something that is cooked with cheese and butter, and so why not oats? And it's glorious. And as good as it is, with the flavors that I mount into it, I will still do the fried egg and drop that right over the top so that yolk oozes right over that steaming bowl of savory oatmeal. And I'm telling you, whether it's cold morning or, in my case, 80 degrees here, but what I'm saying is on a cold morning in particular, that breakfast is awesome. So McCann's steel-cut oatmeal done savory style with a fried egg. Now, I had mentioned more than once here. Let me see if I can find it in front of me. Oh, yeah, there it is. The spicy... if you go to Amazon, you are going to look up Lao Gan Ma Spicy Chili Crisp. Let me spell it. Lao, L-A-O, Gan, G-A-N, Ma, M-A. Lao Gan Ma. You're going to see a Chinese man on the bottle. The bottle will be red, and some orange and some yellow, and it'll say in perfectly good English, Spicy Chili Crisp. And you will discover in the 7.4 ounce bottle for $6.96, you will discover soybean oil that is made with chili peppers, onions, salt, some sugar, some pepper. It has a crispiness to it. It has a savoriness to it. It has a heat, like a spicy heat to it. It's gorgeous, delicious. And I use it, if not in the oatmeal, you're more likely to use it when you do, again, the stir fry. And I've been doing, for example, a lot lately on the string beans, because I've been getting some great string beans here. And I might steam the string beans a couple minutes first, just to get some of the hardness out of them, the stiffness. And when I see that they're pliable, I take some fresh garlic and some ginger and some scallion, and I saute that in a little bit of oil for, just until it's fragrant, right? It's a minute. I toss in the string beans, and then I put in a good 2 teaspoons of this spicy chili crisp, and a good 2 or 3 teaspoons or whatever, depending on how much string beans you have in there, of that Pichan's barbecue sauce. I got people telling me that it's the best string beans they've ever had in their life. So recommendation number whatever it is at this point, Lao Gan Ma Spicy Chili Crisp. I suppose you can probably find them if you look up Lao Gan Ma online, L-A-O-G-A-N-M-A, or go to Amazon and look up Spicy Chili Crisp and see the Chinese chef on the cover of this bottle, because, wow, holy moly, is that good. And it's like $7. I mentioned before the air fryer. I know that they have become kind of popular. I am not big into gadgets. I have a coffee maker. I don't have one of those. What's the thing that everybody's using? You let it cook for 1,000 hours. Instapot. I don't have one. I don't have the room. So I don't have a lot of the gadgets, but somewhere some years ago I was turned on to the power air fryer by a friend of mine, Jay, my friend Jay, who can cook. You have an air fryer? He said, "Nah, I don't. What am I going to do with an air fryer? I just cook the stuff in the oven." He goes, "No, you don't understand." Well, I kind of took him up on it. I saw it on Amazon. I think it was 100 smackers. I'm sure you can get it for less. I'm sure there are ones that are more. My advice on this one, if you go with an air fryer, is kind of minimize the bells and whistles. What you really need is you need a decent size air fryer so that you can throw a whole chicken in. And I say that specifically because I buy the chickens whole. Now, if you go to Costco, which I think you know that I will be at, they're selling those chickens oftentimes 2 at a pop, like 2 chickens in a bag. I mean, it's just like a giant amount of chicken because everything there is giant. But I take the whole chicken, and the last one I did, I took the seasoning here, this poulet au beurre, butter chicken. I took that stuff and I hit it up all over that chicken and threw it into the air fryer whole, skin side down, 400 degrees. That's the max, 60 minutes. And then 30 minutes later, I flip it over and cook it on. So now the skin on the breast skin is gonna get all brown and beautiful. Now, I roast the chicken every week, as I mentioned. Normally, you would go in the oven. The oven goes on. You got to go in there. You got to open it. You got to take it out. Chicken, it's a little bit of that, right? Then you got to take temperature. Then the house gets warm, and it's fine. You know, I mean, the one advice I give to people roasting in the oven is roast your chicken in a cast iron pan. You'll get more crispiness out of it. Put a brick on it or a weight on it, and that's a very common method these days to get super crispy skin on the. Although you have to kind of butterfly it, which is to say, open it up or spatchcock it, whatever you want to call it. That goes, all the skin then essentially goes face down. You put a weight on top. So if you're going to go in the oven and you're going to go, I like high heat and I like a cast iron pan, that's fine. But once I went to the air fryer with my whole chicken, I have not turned on the oven to make a chicken since. Why? For 2 reasons. Number one, it's easy, and number 2, it's perfect. That chicken, 60 minutes, 400, comes out every time looking beautiful, crisp, crackling skin, juicy meat, perfection, without heating up the whole house. The one piece of advice I give on doing the chicken in the air fryer, aside from making sure that you season both outside and in, and you season aggressively, is just make sure that you don't put your chicken in there ice cold. Take it out an hour before. You want your chicken basically to be at room temperature before it goes into your oven or your air fryer. Power Air Fryer XL, get a big one. You can get it wherever. Oh, that's what you should do. Here is the easiest way to access many of these kind of products and my recommendations. I want you to go to, well, if you want, go to my website, realrobrosenthal.com. And the reason you're going to go to my website specifically is because there's a section on the website that is just recommendations that I make. And I will only recommend those things that I believe in, that I've tried, that I like, that I'm happy to share with you. I would say that I get virtually nothing for it. I mean, nobody's paying me to make the recommendations. There is a link, though, on many of them to Amazon. So Amazon probably sends me a penny or two if you buy it, but it doesn't change the consumer price. I think I've made 86 cents thus far on the recommendations. But if you go to realrobrosenthal.com, you don't have to scroll very far to find my recommendations, each one connected to a link. And each link will take you to a site where you can buy any one of the recommendations that I'm making here. Now, as I go back to, let's see, where are we here? We have gone now 38 minutes, okay. Well, I'll tell you what. I've given you. Let's review some of these things here. I've given you those snacks from Trader Joe's. 3 of those that I think are terrific. The chips and all that kind of stuff. I've given you a couple of spices, including the ones from this Spice Affair. Really, really well done. I have given you a couple of the Asian condiments that I love the most. The bachans, which I think, as I told you, is fantastic multi-purpose umami, and the spicy chili crisp, which I love. I have given you the air fryer recommendation. I have told you not only about the oatmeal that I use, but further to that, the method for making it savory and hearty and yummy and nutritious. And because we are coming into the holiday season, there's 2 books. I had on the show a couple of weeks ago a guy named Chad Belding, who really, really impressed me. An outdoorsman, a TV host for 14 years of a show called The Foul Life with Chad Belding over on the Outdoor Channel. And anyway, I thought a terrific and fascinating guy. He just came out with a cookbook which uses, of course, the Provider here. It's called the Provider Cookbook, Fish and Game Recipes for Eating Wild and Living Off the Land. So a lot of game, a lot of fish, a lot of interesting stuff. So if you have friends or family or someone you want to buy a gift for that's into the outdoor life and fishing and hunting, this would be a great gift for them. You can find it on Amazon, the Provider Cookbook. Stuff like wild boar sausage, Korean barbecue, venison street tacos, candied pork chops, all types of interesting stuff there, shrimp and grits, marinated yellowtail. I mean, fascinating menus, all using stuff, of course, that, he would kind of talk about on the show, game and wild stuff. And if you're in the market also for a cookbook, but I mean especially for people who, want to just improve their cooking, but they don't want it to be too complicated, I come back this time of year and I recommend the book that I wrote, Short Order Dad, One Guy's Guide to Making Food Fun and Hassle-Free. The premise of the book, as I mentioned earlier, is how to get the most taste with the fewest ingredients and the least effort. And in addition to the, 100 recipes, most of which, use 5 ingredients, 4, sometimes 6, sometimes 2. I mean, my dream is, can I do something with 2 ingredients? And the answer is I can. Take a spice blend, for example, like the Berbere, and put it on chicken thighs or chicken wings and roast the heck out of that, and it's fantastic. But in addition to the recipes, the value in my cookbook is simply that I lay out kind of what you need to know in terms of how to shop for ingredients and what you should keep in the pantry and what are the few tools and gadgets you might want to have in your kitchen. And then the most important section, I think, of the book is based on my kind of cooking school experience. I take people through the 10 fundamental cooking techniques. So we talk about, how to saute properly or how to roast properly or how to braise, right? So this is a big part of the book. And I will tell you in all honesty that, the book, it's like it's got 140 or 150 ratings, which is not inconsiderable. And it's in that, 4.5 star, range. So they're mostly very good reviews. And I totally disagree with any of the reviews that aren't 4 or 5 star. But the greatest value for me is when someone reports back to me that they've actually made something from the book and it was successful and people loved it and they make it all the time. That's gratifying to me. So another recommendation and present for you to consider for this holiday season, Short Order Dad. Again, these are all things that you can find either on Amazon or go directly to my website, realrobrosenthal.com. So that's today's show. I do have an olive oil that I'm going to recommend. Well, let me see. Let me grab this right now. If you get your hands at this point, and again, I'm going to do a more precise tasting of this tomorrow, but I can tell you this right now. Oh my God, is that gorgeous. You know, there's a lot of different olive oils out there, and like with everything else in life, some are going to be better than others, and olive oils have different taste characteristics depending on where they're from, and I have a bottle here of Laudemio, Laudemio. I can't tell you enough about it at this point because I'm going to do a little tasting of it tomorrow, but I can tell you I tasted it already. I have no idea what it costs, but whatever it is, this stuff is fantastic. Laudemio, Laudemio. I'll tell you more about it when I have a proper taste. In the meantime, that is today's show, episode number 119 of All You Can Eat. Remember, it is the podcast about deliciousness. I'm your host, Rob Rosenthal. As I said, you can find me at realrobrosenthal.com. You can find me at Real Rob Rosenthal on Instagram if you choose. You could find me at Short Order Dad on Twitter if that's your game. And you can find me here on media, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, under All You Can Eat or Rob Rosenthal. Until next time, my friends, be happy, be safe, and remember this, life is short, so never waste a meal.
I'm the Teflon Pan Man. I'm the Teflon Pan Man. Ain't nothing gonna stick on